reality. Start today and become the CEO of your business and your life.
Broadcasting live from Houston, from the space city to the world. You are watching NowMedia Television.
Hey, welcome to Biz Talk TV. I'm your business guide, Michael Rager. I'm your host, and we're ready to go here today and just break into this and see what's going on here in business world here in Houston. It's going to be really interesting. One of the things we're getting into the early part of the year, and one of the things that people ask me all the time as a business coach is, network. How is my network? Where is it? How do I form it? And there's this old saying that your network equals your net worth. You got to get out there and figure out who you should be relating to. So who should you network with? Number one is, I feel it's people that really serve the same clients as you. So getting around, looking around, one of my favorite ways to grow businesses is joint ventures. So go in and find people that serve the same clients that you do and form a great relationship. Get to know them and see what's going on. Number two is, you need to add value to those networking partners. You just can't go in there and take. You got to get in there and you got to give. There's one of the famous networkings out there say givers gain. That's the important thing. The more you give, what happens is it comes to number three is people are going to reciprocate. You're going to go in there, you're going to add value, you're going to get to know your partners. And once you get to know your partners and you start giving, it's just a human nature. They're going to start giving back. They're just going to start giving back, and that's what you need to know. Those of you guys that follow me, you see me on social media, you saw that, I took a group of guys, there was like 10 or 12 of us, and one young lady. We went out for the weekend. We went out to the South Texas. We did a little dove hunting. We did some cool things, but it was really, not about going and doing the activity. It was getting together and building our network. And we brought in some cool people that we had never met, that we really felt that fit who we wanted to be and who we wanted to get to know. So that's what you got to do. You got to go build your network so you can go ahead and build your net worth. So we're going to take it away right after this. We're going to go to break. We're going to come back. We're going to get Jen Drago. She's going to come in and talk about the importance of a business strategist. So don't go away. We'll be right back here on NowMedia TV and Biz Talk with Mike Rager.
Hi, my name is Elias Basavet, founder of Little Maria's Cafe restaurant in West Houston, located in 2901 Wilkers Drive, Suite 137, first floor. Here you will find a family-friendly and relaxed environment where you can enjoy a delicious homemade breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We know you need to get to work fast, and we want you to enjoy a tasty, quality, and healthy homemade food. So come and visit us for a great nutritious meal at an affordable price. We specialize in tasty breakfasts, deli sandwiches, fish, even barbecue cookouts. Little Maria's Cafe has it all. We only use the great quality of Boar's Head meats and products. Just like you, we love to get you up early. Little Maria's Cafe is open from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can dine in with us during breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or we can have it ready for you for pickup. Visit us today on the first floor of the CMPC Center at 2901 Wilkers Drive, Suite 137, first floor. Order now at 832-667-8376, Little Maria's Cafe.
Hey, welcome back to Biz Talk TV. I'm your host and guide, Michael Rager. We're getting ready to bring in my good friend, Jennifer Drago of Peak to Profits. She's going to talk about strategists. And, my good friend, John Maxwell, he used to say, anyone can steer the ship, but it takes a leader to chart the course. And a smart leader has a good team to help them strategize. So, Jen, tell us a little bit about why it's important to have a good strategy coach.
Welcome to Peak to Profit, where each week we share practical and tactical guidance to help you lead a profitable business. I'm Jennifer Drago, award-winning strategist and business coach. I help businesses develop a laser-focused strategy and roadmap for business growth so that they can earn more, work fewer hours, and amplify their impact. So I just said I was a business strategist. What is a business strategist, you may ask? A strategist is a trained and experienced consultant who can help you get clear on your business vision, strategy, goals, and key performance indicators. They are an objective third party who can help you organize and sometimes make sense out of many ideas and many options in a way that moves your business forward. A good strategist can help you chart your course to take your business from point A, where you are today, to point B, where you want to go, especially when you are getting in your own way and potentially overthinking what you should do next. I can tell you firsthand from hiring my own business strategy coach that it is so helpful to have someone else's eyes on your business because they have such an objective view of what is working and what is not, and they can call you out on things that you can't see. What makes a great business strategist? Someone who has walked the path before you. To be more specific, if you're an entrepreneur and you want to grow your business, you would want to work with a strategist who has been a successful entrepreneur and who has helped other entrepreneurs be successful as well. For example, I have served as a chief strategy officer for several nonprofits, have launched over 20 new business lines, and have been an entrepreneur several times over. Whether I'm working with a corporate team, a startup, or an entrepreneur, I can say that I've walked in their shoes and can provide guidance to help them at different stages of their business or of their business life cycle. To illustrate how a strategy consultant can help a business get clear on their vision and goals, I'll share a client case study. I was contacted by a company who has a successful technology product in the education space, and they had a new idea for a related product that could work on the same technology platform. Beyond the idea, the CEO had connected with several key advisors in that space who were equally excited about the possibilities. During our first meeting, we started with creating a vision of where we wanted the business to be in 3 years. The very process of articulating the specifics of this destination ignited spirited conversation, and to a lesser extent, some debate when there was not obvious agreement. As a strategist, I was facilitating the discussion, asking questions to bring more clarity, and ultimately drafting the descriptive and inspirational language that described the future state of the company. Once we finished the vision narrative for this startup, we spent some time discussing the values of the company. Especially in the startup space, when there are new partners working together on a new product, it is important to get clear on the values of the company. Specifically, what are the key statements that describe the company, its product, its services, and its team members? By articulating the values early in the lifespan of a company, future decisions are made much easier. If a potential decision or direction is in direct conflict with the values or does not enhance the values of the company, it's an easy no. The next step in working with my startup client was to develop action plans for the work that they had to do in the coming year. Since it was a startup, there were many things to do. However, they had limited staff at the beginning, and much of the discussion we had related to prioritizing what had to happen and in what order. And we also discussed when it would be necessary to hire new team members and what these roles would be. At the end of the engagement, I presented the client's vision, strategy, and goals in an easy-to-use format so they could just take it and use it going forward to work the plan, but they could also share it with other stakeholders. I also created a strategic scorecard so that they could measure their progress at a glance. In addition, I presented the client with a set of recommendations to avoid potential obstacles and landmines that they might run into on their roadmap. And finally, I detailed best practices for startups that would keep them on schedule in their development. Did I agree with everything that the group discussed? No. Did I share my opinions openly when they differed from the group? Yes, I did. I feel that that's my obligation as a strategy consultant, sometimes to play devil's advocate. Of course, the client makes the ultimate decision on how to proceed, but the honest and transparent discussion can inform the decision-making process and ultimately ensure that the best decision is made. I hope this case study gives you an idea of the work of a strategist or strategy consulting in supporting a business as they launch or grow. Do you want to get my eyes on your business or learn more about how I can support you? Schedule a free strategy consultation at my website, peaktoprofit.com. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Hey, great information, Jen. Man, this is a very similar roadmap that I put my clients on. I love it. So, if you're going to go ahead and build a business, you have to have a strategy. We got to know where we're going. If we don't plan, we'll always get to know where. That's what it's all about. So I'm going to be right back. We're going to have Kristen Gunderson, and we're going to talk about taxes and accounting, all that fun stuff. And we're especially going to talk today about 1099s. So this is Michael Rager, your business guide with Biz Talk TV here on the NowMedia Television Network. We'll be back in just a minute.
Are you a business owner feeling overwhelmed or burnt out with no energy left for what's most important to you? In order to effectively run your business and maximize your profits, you have got to be the best possible you that you can be. Now is the time to reclaim your energy, master your schedule, and maximize your profits so you can effectively run your business rather than it running you. It's time to become the CEO of your business and life. I'm Jen Godet, a business strategist and life coach. I work with overwhelmed business owners who feel stuck in a rut and depleted. I teach you how to stop doing the things that aren't making you money and start prioritizing the things that bring you energy, joy, and lasting impact. I'm a human performance specialist and an international best-selling author. I've helped countless people all over the world to learn the art of saying no, overcome their fear, and maximize their performance. Let's get you to live your best possible reality. Start today and become the CEO of your business and your life.
You probably already know that first impressions are never forgotten. However, did you also know the way you feel about yourself contributes to your quality of life and the opinions of others? Hi, my name is Kristen Gunderson. My mission is to help people by flipping the switch inside their body, which in turn will help them to feel better and do more. In fact, once you feel your best, you will be able to pour into others, keep your cup full, and reach every goal you have set up for yourself, whether it's personal, family, or business related. The way you feel will dictate the way you think and the way you live your life. Feeling your best is necessary to achieve your goals. You deserve to put yourself first. Let me help you flip the switch so you can feel better and do more. Let's talk. I know I can help.
Hey, welcome back. I'm your business guide, Michael Rager, and we're ready to bring on Kristen Gunderson of Gunderson's Bookkeeping, and she's going to talk about one of the things that business owners just dread. We hate it. It's that time of year. It's tax season. But we've got to understand, especially if we have 1099 employees, what are the things that we need to do to be compliant? You need to listen to Kristen because she's going to keep you out of trouble with the IRS. Take it away, Kristen.
Thank you so much for having me on the Biz Talk Show today. I am Kristen Gunderson with Gunderson's Bookkeeping. I'm so glad to be here to be able to answer all of your bookkeeping and tax questions. So the question that we got for today, we actually have two questions. One on, tell me about 1099s. Who do we have to send them to? When are they due? What happens if we don't send them? And then the second question I'm going to answer today is, when are my business taxes due? So let's get to 1099s. So per the IRS, anyone that has worked for you doing services, including like if you're a landlord and people are doing services for you and they do $600 or more in the year, you have to send them a 1099 by January 31st, post-stamped in the mail, and send that to the client for everything that they worked for the last year. And it has to be for everyone who is unincorporated. So that's the key question. What is unincorporated? So unincorporated is anyone who's an individual. They could be a sole proprietorship. They could be a partnership. They could even be an LLC. A lot of times people think that because they're an LLC, they don't have to send them a 1099. Well, that's not necessarily true. The only way that you will know if you need to send them a 1099 is you need to get that W-9 from them. And what I request is you withhold your payment, like you do not send them that check. You do not send them Venmo, Zelle, PayPal for the services until you get that W-9 on hand from that client, no matter if they've worked like $100 worth or $1,000 worth. Like, you don't know how much you're going to pay them throughout the year, but get that W-9 from them. Because on the W-9, it's not only going to have their name, their business name, their EIN or their social and their address, it's also going to have what type of entity they are. If they are an S Corp or a C Corp, you do not need to send them the 1099 in January. So another thing people get confused about is, well, I didn't have any contract laborers work for me, so I don't need to send out 1099s. That's not necessarily true either, because anyone who's doing a service for you, you have to send a 1099 to. So this could be your bookkeepers, your CPAs, your lawyer. And lawyers, actually, if they work $1 or more, you have to send them a 1099 per the IRS. So it's not the $600 limit, it's the $1 limit for lawyers. They could be consultants, marketing, lawn care, office cleaning, who else? Admin, especially like contract laborers, you'll have to send them one. There's like a whole list. Like if they're doing a service for you, like a repair for you, that also includes a service. So that could be someone you'd have to send a 1099 to. And people they sometimes don't think about those types of people. Could be your plumbers, like if you have someone who's doing repairs for your plumbing. So just remember that there's a whole list. Like if it's a service and you paid them $600 or more, you have to send them a 1099. So what happens if you send money by PayPal or by Venmo? This is another question, and this has been getting really tricky the last few years because like those cash apps are like so popular just to send people money nowadays. So my rule of thumb, and from everything that I've been able to research and read, if you are sending payment for services and you're sending it as friends and family through like Venmo or PayPal, yes, include that as a 1099 that you have to send out for. And you may, if you're sending them with different types of, if you're paying them with different types of ways, like you pay them by sometimes with a credit card and you pay them sometimes with a check and you pay them sometimes with the new cash apps that are out there. If you pay them by your like Visa, American Express, like you do not have to send them that 1099. But if you pay them with check or with the friends and family, with the different cash apps out there, then send them that 1099 for the services. If you are paying with PayPal and doing it as goods and services, then I would let PayPal take care of sending the 1099. Like it's already on their radar. They know, hey, I have to send a 1099 to anything that's marked as goods or services. So if you pay them as goods and services, do not send them the 1099, because then they would have two 1099s, one from PayPal, one from you. So that's another thing to consider. And I just had this conversation with one of my clients. It's turned into a nightmare, like pays people with PayPal, sometimes she pays people with Venmo and sends checks, she pays them with her credit card, and it's turning into a nightmare for 1099s. And I told her, you are paying everyone the way that they want to be paid. Sometimes they want to be paid with Cash App, sometimes they want to be paid with PayPal, and then Venmo, and sometimes you're cutting them a check out of your bank account. Like, stick to one currency. Like, it makes it so much easier. You're the owner of your company. You be like, you know what? I am only going to pay people by PayPal and the goods and services from now on. That's the way I'm doing it. Or I'm only going to pay people by check. Like, you set your own policies and procedures, send it out. It's a brand new year. Just as of January 1st of 2023, these are my new policies and procedures that I am only paying people this way from now on, whatever it is that you decide, but stick with it that way. That way it'll make it so much easier. And if you're going to use like PayPal or Venmo, make sure that you pay them with the goods and services. That way you don't have to worry about the 1099 anyway. Don't be paying them with the friends and family. Just say, hey, this is the way it is. So if you don't file 1099s, there's a penalty. So you have to file them by January 31st, and then if you file them late, 1 to 31 days late, it's a $50 per 1099 that you file late. So if you have 10 of them, that's an easy $500 penalty the IRS can assess to you. If you file them 32 days all the way to August 1st, if you file it late during that time period, it's a $100 per 1099 that you don't file on time. So 10 of those, that's easy $1,000 penalty from the IRS that they can just collect on. And I mean, that adds up. It adds up pretty quickly. If it's after August 1st and you don't send the 1099s out, it's $280 penalty for not filing them late after August 1st. And if you just flat out don't send them, it's kind of confusing. One is a $250 fee, but if they can prove, and this is per 1099 again, if they can prove that you just blatantly just disregard sending 1099s, I think the penalty was like $560 per 1099. So make sure that you get them done, send them in on time, and then to the individual, remember it's due January 31st, and then you have to get them electronically filed. The copies that you sent to them individuals, send it to the IRS by the end of February so that the IRS knows who you sent the 1099s to. All right, so that is everything that I have for you on 1099s. I know it's kind of confusing. If you need any help with this, please don't hesitate to reach out and contact us. The next question that I got in is tax returns, and when are these tax returns due? So everyone knows August 15th is when tax returns are due. This year, because the 15th falls on a Saturday, it is April 18th that tax returns are due this year. And everyone kind of thinks, oh, April 15th is a deadline for everything. That is not necessarily true. So it's April 15th, remember 18th this year, but April 15th if you are an individual, your Form 1040 for all individuals are due 1040, April 15th. If you have a business and it's just a Schedule C, like a DBA, Schedule C, or a single member LLC, that goes as a Schedule C onto your personal tax return, the 1040, that is due April 15th. If you have a C corporation, that is due April 15th. So what about all the other businesses? There's partnerships, there's multi-person LLCs, there's S Corps. All of those are due March 15th. They're due a month ahead of time because the business tax return needs to be done and the profit and loss needs to be figured out. And then a K-1 gets done, and the K-1 is for each partner, each owner of the business, and that K-1 will show just the net profit or the net loss that the company made. That's your portion. And then that K-1 has to be filed on the personal, the 1040 tax return, which is due April 15th. So don't forget to file your taxes on time. The penalties are big. I'll mention that real quick. If you fail to file on time, you can't file on time, file the extension. The extension will give you an extra 6 months to be able to file. The taxes are still due by the original due date, the March 15th or the April 15th, but the tax return to get it filed will be 6 months later, so either September 15th or October 15th for individuals. The penalty is 5% based off of what was due. So if you had an amount due that you should have paid in, it's 5% of what that amount due is per month that you don't file it. So that's just the penalty for not filing. But then interest gets tacked on top of that, and the interest it's not very clear. There's so many different ways that they charge you interest. It's based off of what tax return that you're supposed to file and how late it is, and then what quarter of what year it was originally supposed to be done in. So for the first quarter of 2023, the interest rates vary from 3%, depending on what type of tax return you have, all the way up to 8.5%. And that just keeps on getting added on and on and on for everything that you do not pay on, the penalties and the previous interest that you got charged. So make sure that you file that, get that done on time. If you owe the IRS money, get it paid down as soon as you can, because that penalties and interest just keep on growing. So one more thing that I wanted to talk about real quick is for people who have LLCs, they have to file a franchise tax report with the state. And the state tax returns are all due different times, but for the Texas people, because that's a lot of who I help with, the Texas franchise tax reports are due May 15th. So you got an extra month to get those filed. And even if your LLC isn't making any money, or they didn't make any money, or you may have lost money, you still have to file that franchise tax report, a no tax due, by May 15th. Now, if you have over $1 million, and I can't remember the exact dollar amount, but $1 million something in sales, you will have to pay franchise tax fees. But anything for less than that $1 million, it'll be a no tax due. All right. I hope that got all of your 1099 and tax questions answered for today. It was a pleasure talking with you again. I am Kristen Gunderson with Gunderson's Bookkeeping. You can reach out to us by phone, 936-372-2661, or we're on all the social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, at Gunderson's Bookkeeping. Thanks for having me on today.
Hey, Kristen, that was some great stuff. I know as a business owner, we don't want to do all that stuff, but we know we have to do it. It's very important that you taught us the right things to do so we don't face any fines and penalties from the IRS. So we're going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit more tax stuff with Keith Cothwell from Koth Law. So this is Michael Rager, your business guide on NowMedia TV. We'll be back in just a minute.
Según el FBI, un robo ocurre cada 13 segundos. Los hogares y negocios sin un sistema de seguridad confiable tienen 300% más de probabilidades de ser robados. Alert 360 proporciona soluciones de seguridad sólidas y personalizadas a clientes residenciales y comerciales, ya sea seguridad en el hogar, detección de incendios y monóxido de carbono, protección contra inundaciones, atención conectada para personas mayores, soluciones de vigilancia administradas por video, monitoreo de alarma las 24 horas al día, 7 días a la semana y seguridad de personas. Alert 360 es su solución ideal. Además, Alert 360 tiene integraciones inteligentes para el hogar y el negocio para una total tranquilidad, protegiendo lo más importante y reduciendo los costos de energía con nuestras funciones de programación automática de primera línea. Alert 360 ofrece descuentos en servicios de seguridad a personal militar, veteranos, primeros respondientes, educadores y personal hospitalario. No seas víctima, da un paso fuerte hoy. Llame a Rosana Torres al 832-863-8574 para su consulta gratuita.
En esta era digital, las tarjetas de presentación de negocio son cosa del pasado. De hecho, la mayoría de las personas que las reciben las pierden en cuestión de minutos. La videotarjeta de negocios de NowMedia es un video de su negocio especialmente creado por nuestros expertos con toda su información de contacto, los productos y servicios de su negocio y puede ser enviado de manera rápida utilizando su teléfono móvil. Cientos de negocios ya están viendo la diferencia. Llámenos hoy al 832-384-9588.
¿Qué Onda Magazine? Una publicación hispana de noticias y entretenimiento. Sirviendo a la comunidad hispana por más de 25 años. El mejor contenido para estar informado. Política, comunidad, moda, cultura, entretenimiento, cocina, comercio y más. Obtenga su copia gratis en todas las taquerías Arandas.
Hey, welcome back to Biz Talk TV. I'm your host and guide, Michael Rager. We're ready to go. We're going to talk a little bit more about taxes, but we're going to talk about how to structure your company right. So my good friend Keith Cothrell, the Houston tax attorney, is going to teach you about the best way to structure your company here in 2023. Take it away, Keith.
Thanks, Michael, for having me on Biz Talk. Glad to be here again. Today we're talking about another topic regarding how to choose the best company structure for 2023. And so this really depends. There's a lot of factors in where this depends. So when you're considering on what type of structure that you think you want to put your company in, you want to look at control, taxes, liability, capital investment, complexity, licenses, regulations, permits, and flexibility. So if you're a single member, you're doing this on your own, then you're going to be a sole proprietor, Schedule C filer on a 1040, or maybe perhaps a subchapter S corporation. And I believe we talked about in another segment that if you're going to be a subchapter S, you've got to pay yourself a W-2, a reasonable compensation. If you don't do that, you're going to get yourself in trouble with the IRS. They're really scrutinizing subchapter S's for those particular ones that are not paying themselves, those officers who are not paying themselves. So let's talk about control. I mean, we're talking about now more than two people. So if you're more than two people involved in this business entity, then you want to think about who do you want to control the purse? Who do you want to control paying the taxes? Who do you want? I mean, there's so many different things. Making deposits, the day-to-day activities of the business, all of that you want to think about. Taxes, what structure is going to help reduce my taxes? If you're a subchapter S, your net income from that subchapter S is basically reported on your 1040. The same thing happens for the 1065 forms. So those 1065s, partnership returns, those also flow through to the individual officers and shareholders to their personal returns. The net does. Any net income or loss does. Liability. Anything across the board from an LLC up to a limited partnership to everything in between, C Corps, S Corps, all of those, if you file for that, file under those entities, for liability purposes, you're going to be okay as long as you treat all of those entities like they're supposed to be treated, meaning separate bank accounts, having minutes of meetings, treating it like a company. If you treat it like, there's no distinction between personal income or personal expenses in the business, and you don't keep very good records, then you're going to get what's called piercing the veil. And that means that anyone, whether you get sued or the IRS for that matter, is going to pierce that veil and say that you're not really a business entity because you're not treating it like one, and then you're going to be personally liable. But if you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing, then any of those types of structures are going to help limit your liability. Capital investment, that's, we're talking about joint ventures and things, who is going to make the largest capital investment? So are you doing it from a self-directed 401k or an IRA? And then depending on who makes the largest capital investment, is that person automatically going to be the person in charge? So, I mean, a lot of these things we have to think about. Complexity, how complex do you want to make your business? How flexible do you want to make it? And then the last thing is licenses, regulations, and permits. You know, depending on what you do, you might have local, state, and federal permitting and licensing and regulations you have to do. And the way you structure your business may help reduce your tax liability and your personal liability, or your business liability rather, on that. I've always said that if you have more than 2 people, you've got to write things down. You got to have an agreement in place, even if it's a basic agreement. Don't go to LegalZoom. Get an attorney. Let them do at least a basic agreement for you, and that way, that's going to have written down what happens if somebody doesn't do something they're supposed to do, if somebody gets divorced, somebody dies, all that, you got to have it written down, and that'll save you money in the long run and costly litigation. The other thing too, if you're a nonprofit, you file your 501c3 and your 990 return, and you've got to stay a nonprofit, so you can't, there's certain regulations that not regulate, tax regulations and other laws in effect that you don't want to kick yourself out of a nonprofit. So if you want more information on that, just let me know. And that's really all that I have today regarding the business structure. And if you have any other questions about it, feel free to give me a call. The number you see on the screen, 832-402-4440, or my email, kcothrell@cothrell.com. Thanks, Michael, and have a good day. Good to see you.
Hey, Keith, that's some great stuff. And I know as a business owner, setting up your business structure properly can save you a lot of time, effort, money, and, just stress in the long run. So that's some good stuff. You got to meet with Keith. If you're not, you got to go meet with him and have him help you look at these things so you can go ahead and take your business to the next level. We're going to be right back with my next guest, Matthew Paul. We're going to talk a little bit about business and personal finances and how you should plan and strategize to make the most out of your business. This is Michael Rager, your business guide, here with Biz Talk TV and NowMedia Television.
As a critical aspect of your operations, you need the right technology partner to provide you and your business the peace of mind of having reliable and efficient IT systems. In addition, with cyber threats, ransomware at an all-time high, adequate, continuous, and proactive data protection for your business is an absolute must. Hi, this is Roland Parker with Impress Computer Solutions. We are experts in tailored IT solutions and professional 24/7 IT support services. We proactively monitor, maintain, manage, and protect your IT and data assets. Additionally, we have the know-how and horsepower to do the correct procuring of any and all computer systems or software your company may need. Having the correct IT infrastructure and not being able to operate safely and correctly is very expensive and can eventually destroy growth. So take a decisive step and call me today for a complimentary consultation at 281-647-9977 for your unique IT needs.
I was recently asked what it means to be a family lawyer. What is family law? Family law is not just about divorce or custody or child support. Family law is about your life. As a family lawyer, I protect your children, your wealth, your future. I don't do this alone. As your attorney, we work as a team to determine your goals and priorities and provide a strategy in an often complex, painful, and confusing time. Whether it's asset protection through pre- or post-marital agreements, or fighting to protect your children, I'm here to help. My team and I bring decades of combined experience to support you and your family in all aspects of family and wealth planning, from estate and legacy planning to divorce and child custody issues, to representation in complex litigation cases. Take a decisive step. We're here when you're ready. Remember, it's about your life.
Hey, welcome back. I'm your business guide and host, Michael Rager, and we're going to bring in a new guest, Matthew Paul. Matthew, how are you doing today?
I am fabulous, and thank you for having me, Michael, on the show here.
Yeah, well, Matthew, you and I have known each other for a while. You've been really good at helping business owners and people understand debt, how to eliminate it, and how to really grow their business. One of the things I want to talk to you about today is, as a business owner, how do we really start looking at financial planning for our business?
Okay, that's an excellent question, Michael. So for anything that a business owner wants to know, it is all about cash flow, because cash flow is the blood of business. And that is the number one thing that I want you to know, that cash flow is the blood of business. The first step you have to do is to make sure that you have a very good sales coming in, and obviously work with business coaches and leaders and sales managers to make sure that you have cash coming into the business. And once you have cash coming in, the next step is to identify your cost and expense. We always need to make sure that you reduce your expense and manage your cost. And if we can do that, we'll have to have a very good books, make sure that you have a very good accountant or a bookkeeper to make and collect all the statements that you wanted to have every month, and sit with you and go through it and see how you can manage your debt. Debt is a tool. However, just like any other tools you have in your garage, a chainsaw is a tool. If you don't know how to use it, you will get chopped. So the key is to make sure that you know how to use these tools, and high interest debt has never helped any businesses. So your aim is to get out of the high interest debt and come lower and make sure that you have enough cash flow in the business.
Well, one of the things I see with my clients, Matthew, is, again, you're talking debt's a tool and where do we use it, but there's been a lot of pushing to stay debt free, but I've seen business owners that are asset rich and cash poor. How do we go find the right kind of debt? How do you do that?
Look, if you look at that in a personal financial situations, you have to be debt free, because a credit card has not helped anybody. When I say debt free, I'm not talking about real estate debt. I'm not talking about your house or anything. I'm talking about credit cards and personal loans and stuff like that. But when it comes to businesses, every liability that you have, you need to see what is the return of investment you're getting on that liability. If you're taking a credit card debt at 25%, it is fairly impossible for you to get a return of around 40-45% on that dollar amount that you're borrowing. So if you're buying or taking a debt to buy a machinery, then we need to talk about it, and you may be able to recoup that cash. So it is all about knowing what is the return of investment you're going to get out of the cash that you're taking out of debt.
Yeah, it's really hard. As a business owner, you can't be using those 25% interest credit cards to kind of move your business forward. You're never going to get advantage of it. The only one good thing about it is that at least some of that interest you can write off versus some other interest. But that's a good thing. How do we look at now as a business owner? How do we take the things that we've taken from our business and the money we've made in our business, now take it to us and plan financially as a business owner?
Yeah, so that is a very good question. A lot of people, business owners, they will put everything into their business and then ignore their family life. And that is not what we are talking about. What we need to do is, once you have an income coming into your business, either through payroll or through shareholder distribution, you need to create a budget where you need to go through line by line and make sure that what's coming into the house and what's going out of the house is balanced. We need to make sure that you have a plan for all the big expenses and a plan to pay off your high interest debt so that you can invest for your future, and one of these days you can retire and enjoy your golden years.
Yeah, that's really important, is having a plan to get there so we can get to retire. And it's actually, looking at is what's my exit strategy for the business, and how do we do that? So hiring somebody like you, as a financial advisor, how do you help people look at that 3 to 5 years down the road when they want to exit their business?
Absolutely, that's a good question, Michael. What we do is, when we sit with business owners, we write a 3, 5, and 10-year goal. The 3-year goal is to make sure that you have enough cash in the business to make a profitability and have your business thrive. And as we go longer in terms, we will put together an exit strategy to make sure that you have enough valuation in your business so that when you're ready to sell the business, you will be able to sell it at a very high price and enjoy the money that you already worked for. So it's all about planning and executing, and as financial advisors and coaches, we'll be more than happy to sit with you and get you there.
Yeah, we see it all the time. We've got to get there, and we've got to plan and to get to where we want to get to. As I see a lot of time, business owners just they plan to never pay taxes. How does that put them in trouble?
Oh, that's a big problem, right? I mean, you have to talk to my friend Keith Cottrell, and he will help you get out of the tax mess. But so when we create all these sub-accounts, one of the things that we do is to make sure that you have at least a sub-account for taxes, and we take some money and move it out of your day-to-day expenses and costs so that you can have that ready when the tax time is approaching, or for paying your estimated taxes every quarter. You also need to have a bucket for emergency fund, because in the world of business, the only certain thing is uncertainty. And so for those uncertain times, you have to have your cash ready. And so we create all these emergency funds for the business, which is a percentage of the fixed expense in your business. And we try to make sure that you can pay your payroll and get you there.
So Keith, see, you're talking about Keith, and I started going there, Matthew. So if people want to sit down and talk to you personally, how do they go find you, and how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, it's very easy. My number is 281-435-1888, and my website is www.themyana.com. You can give us a call, you can send us an email, and the first consultation we have is always free. We want to make sure that we are of help to you. There's no point in charging anybody if we cannot help you. So the first thing we do is to make sure that we sit with you and get you what you want to get, and then we will put together a plan moving forward.
Well, man, that was great, man. Matthew, I'm going to be looking so forward to have you on in the next several months to really help business owners plan to increase profits and revenues in their business, and then keep it. Because that's the most important thing. If we're going to make it, we got to keep it, right?
It's not about how much you make, it's how much you keep that matters.
Yeah, well, that's great, man. Matthew, so much for being a part of it today. I'm looking forward to the future. So I'm Michael Rager, your business guide. We're going to be back with more Biz Talk TV right after this.
Are you a business owner feeling overwhelmed or burnt out with no energy left for what's most important to you? In order to effectively run your business and maximize your profits, you have got to be the best possible you that you can be. Now is the time to reclaim your energy, master your schedule, and maximize your profits so you can effectively run your business rather than it running you. It's time to become the CEO of your business and life. I'm Jen Godet, a business strategist and life coach. I work with overwhelmed business owners who feel stuck in a rut and depleted. I teach you how to stop doing the things that aren't making you money and start prioritizing the things that bring you energy, joy, and lasting impact. I'm a human performance specialist and an international best-selling author. I've helped countless people all over the world to learn the art of saying no, overcome their fear, and maximize their performance. Let's get you to live your best possible reality. Start today and become the CEO of your business and your life.
Hey, welcome back. I'm your business guide, Michael Rager, and welcome back to NowMedia Television and Biz Talk TV. We've got a new guest today, and I'm so excited. It's like new guest day. I just don't know what's going on. But we got Kat Baker. Kat's she's a workshop facilitator, and she specializes in relationships. So, Kat, welcome to the show.
Hi, Michael. Thanks so much for having me.
Man, I'm excited. So, mindset expert, tell me a little bit about some of the things that you've observed as you've been getting into businesses and how things were, how they changed, and how relationships are changing in business.
Well, I mean, relationships are everything. It's the underpinning of everything that we do. And it's really easy to kind of just lump it into just relationships and not really go vertical and go deep into what it is that it means and how it can have an implication on your day-to-day work life. So when we think about relationships, there's really two categories. We have our external relationships and terms of work, and then we have our internal relationships within work. And so the external ones, those are going to be your, suppliers, clients, vendors, stakeholders, those kind of things, all of those relationships that you have outside, which are crucial and important. But what's even more important are how the relationships are formed within the business itself. Because when those relationships are strong and working, appropriately, then that's going to make the external relationships work that much better as well. So when we think about, there's kind of like a layer system that goes through the kinds of different relationships that we have within our internal work environment. So kind of at the most outer layer, we've got our coworkers, that we are just happen to be there by circumstance. There's no real relationship there. They're just in the same place at the same time that we are. And then from there, it goes down a little bit deeper into our team members. So this is also on a professional level, but they're people that we work with more closely day to day, but we might not have, any sort of personal connection with them. Going deeper into the level of intimacy, we then get to what I call the lunch buddies. The people that you go out to lunch with, that you sit next to them in meetings, you generally like them, it's more on a personal side than a professional level. But they're not really moving you forward so much within your business. So all those relationships I mentioned, they're more on the transactional side of things. And then we get to the manager. So whether this is your manager or whether you are the manager and you have direct reports under you, this is kind of where the transactional relationship then could become transformational as well. So as a manager, it's really important to make sure that you're thinking about what are the sort of more transformational activities that you can take to really make a difference within your own career and with your direct reports. And then going even deeper, we have the office BFF, or maybe you call it your work wife or your work husband. It's that kind of one person that you really vent to at work. And this is such a crucial relationship because, your actual spouse, your actual family, they're not going to know all of the ins and outs that you experience within your daily work life. So this person is a really crucial person to have within your work sphere, to have that person to bounce off with. And so I see a lot with working with entrepreneurs and solopreneurs in particular, that this is missing in a lot of places, that this is something that's very prevalent within the corporate space, office space, but not necessarily when you are working by yourself, and it can make it feel even more lonely. And we already know that entrepreneurialism, solopreneur, it's a very lonely journey. And so it's crucial to find that kind of person, whether it's in someone who does something similarly, who can understand you at that level that maybe your other friends can't. And then from there we go even, I'm sorry?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were done there.
No, I mean, we can talk about it and I can keep going.
No, I think it's really important when you sit there and look at those relationships, because relationships within business and how we take them, and then how do we go outside of work and take those relations, because it can be really difficult, right? So I'm good friends with some of my clients, and I do things outside of work with some of my clients, and I'm not with others. How do you help business owners, understand where's the right time and right place to have that relationship and how to take it that way?
Well, it's definitely a blurred line, isn't it? And the relationship that you have with someone is going to be different based on relationship life cycles, when you have that sort of close thing. I think COVID was really great for blurring that line a little bit. I mean, it was always kind of a hard and fast line, but as human beings, we don't always separate ourselves that way. We don't have that same compartmentalization. We're still ourselves even when we're in work mode. So COVID really helped to kind of blend that line where we got to see people as they work at home. I think during COVID, people who worked in, and with client situations, in coaching situations like you mentioned, where you started to learn people's kids' names more, right? You understood if they had a dog or a cat or a parrot. I'd worked with someone for a long time, and it wasn't until we were on Zooms all the time that I heard this noise in the background. It's like, what is that? And he's like, oh, it's my parrot. It's like, you have a parrot? And so it just made this extra sort of bond that you felt a little bit closer to. And, it's a big phrase in selling, the know, like, and trust factor. And I think that helped to bring those things a little bit closer and for people to feel a little bit tighter with one another.
Yeah, that's one of the things I talked about in the opening, is when you build relationships and you get them going, I think the deeper they go, the more transactional they potentially become because of that know, like, and trust factor. Well, I want to have one more question before we end this segment. What happens when a relationship kind of starts to turn sour or difficult? How do you advise somebody to fix it or move on from it if necessary?
Oh, absolutely, because it happens. So one of my mentors, he's a billionaire, so I think he knows what he's talking about. He's been super successful in business. He says that all of his problems have a first name and a last name. And that's why it's so crucial in relationships to be monitoring where they're going. And so one of the suggestions I provide is rank your relationships, which sounds kind of cold on the surface, but the one thing that we all have in common is how many hours we have in a day. So by able to ranking your relationships with, who are your A players with, and this applies to work or life, by the way. But if you look at it at work, who are the A players? Who are the people who are going to really move you forward? They're motivating, they're inspiring. It's like an energy injection when you work with them. Who are those people, and actually identify them? Who are the B players, which are kind of neutral? They're not really helping you move forward, but they're not dragging you down either. And then you have the C players who are completely dragging you down. They're very energy suckers, time wasters. And once you kind of have that rank, you're able to look at it and say, what is really what's important to me? How do I want to spend my time? And it really helps people to prioritize, because so often the energy suckers end up taking way more time. When once we realize they're C players, we can say, you know what, this isn't a priority for me right now, or you're able to delegate whatever the issue is to someone else and not let it drain you.
Well, that's awesome. I love it, Kat. I'm going to be so excited to get to know you better and have you, pour into us here at Biz Talk TV. So thanks so much for your time. How do people get a hold of you?
The best way is email. If you go Kat, just like the animal, people always want to put a K, and I don't understand why. But kat@coachwithkat.com. That's the best way to get a hold of me.
Well, thanks so much. I appreciate it. And I'm looking forward so much to having you on the show some more. So thanks a lot, Kat.
Absolutely.
We'll be back. This is Michael Rager, your business guide, and we'll be back right after this.
Comprar o vender una propiedad es un paso que impacta su vida y la vida de su familia y sus seres queridos. De hecho, estudios demuestran que tener un grupo de agentes de bienes raíces con experiencia garantiza un mejor precio al momento de vender, comprar o alquilar una propiedad. Si quiere comprar o vender una propiedad, LMS Realty es su solución. Contamos con los recursos y la experiencia para agilizar su transacción con facilidad y alcanzar el mejor precio posible. Al mismo tiempo, LMS Group puede hacer evaluaciones de mercado y podemos proporcionar varias soluciones de financiamiento para encontrarle la casa de sus sueños. Además, LMS Realty puede proporcionar varias soluciones de financiamiento para que pueda tener su casa con un menor costo posible. Tome acción hoy mismo. LMS Realty es su solución ideal.
Hey, welcome back, man. That was just a great show today. I'm telling you, man, we had some great people. I mean, 2 new guests. What do you think about Matthew, Paul, and Kat, the coach? Man, they were just awesome. But, Jennifer Drago talking today about strategy. That was incredible. Kristen and Keith talking about tax and, how to plan and do the right things. We're so excited about the things that are going on here. So, but just like we started out at the beginning, we talked about relationships and how relationships help your business grow. These are the things you need to do. If you're a business owner, if you don't have a relationship with your CPA or bookkeeper, you need to get a better one. If you don't have one, we have a guy, David Murphy, that's on here with us regularly. If you don't have a good relationship with your lawyer, you need to get one. You need to go out and bring in the right people in your life to help your business grow. That's what it's about. So it's, that's what I love to do about business, is bringing people together, network, get them in the right situation so they can become successful. We're going to be looking at, growing your business through the next several weeks, and it's important. We see what's going on. We're in tax season right now. We need to move on. We need to get things going. We need to make sure that we got the right things in place at the right time to grow our business. And that's what just Jennifer talked about today, strategy. We got to have the right strategy to figure out where we are today, where we want to get to in 3 years. How do we bring in Keith? How do we bring in Matthew? How do we bring in Kat to help us get there? You know, that's what's so important about everything we're doing here on Biz Talk TV. And that's why we want to be into your home, on your TV, in your radio, on Spotify, everywhere, every day of the week. You know, again, I'm Michael Razier. I'm your business guide. Let us help you bring your business from where it is now to where you want to go. And we're going to make sure you get there. So as I say in my business, we're going to teach you how to be a real success. So we'll talk to you next time. I'm Michael Razier. We're out, and we'll talk to you.